afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can catch the Lunchtime series on all major podcast channels. Joining me as per usual, my marketing and communications expert and co-host, Craig Bagely. How you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm well, and you? Thanks. Yeah, sure. Here we are in a little bit of chilly bite winter, hey?
Yeah, I don't know what this. I think I mentioned it last time. I was like saying, it's like living in London. There's with the exception of no money and no electricity.
Yeah, I must admit, I do so enjoy this weather. Crisp, fresh, keeps you on your toes.
It does.
It's good. It's good working weather. It really is.
It does, yeah. I usually function well when it's sort of gloomy. I don't know what
myself. Yeah, I really enjoy it. You just like in it.
It's raining. Those two, when it's doing those two things, I'm really, really, my brain just switches on somehow. I don't know what it is. But Craig, we had some interesting conversation last week where we covered mega trends extensively for the past two shows. With clear references to key takeaway points about both of these shows. I know you want to jump straight into today's topic because it's an interesting one, and I can't wait for it. But with that said, let's quickly just wrap up or tell people what we chatted about in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Kevin, so we gave extensive exposure to the Euromonitor International's report titled Transform Your Innovation Strategy with Megatrends the past 2 weeks. Really, really great takeaway of, and again, so many of these reports that we cover have got things that seem so obvious, but we don't know how to contextualize those key points. And the wonderful thing about the report is this very simple worksheet that you can actually, as a business, take and have a look at and start working through the trends and populating the worksheet to see if any of those trends actually have relevance or impact on your business. So definitely, again, another punt for Euromonitor International's report in that regard. But today, definitely in for an interesting conversation. And the reason being is I picked up on your reference to the marketing prowess and the power of the brand that is Taylor Swift last week, Kevin. And I decided to do some investigations on how Taylor Swift actually positions herself as a brand and what marketers can learn from her approach, her actions and behaviors. And it's not often that marketing tactics are associated with musicians, but I promise you, Kevin, in this instance, there's a lot we can take away from the way Taylor Swift is operating.
I'm glad that we are. I was watching just to catch up with some of the Americans. There's a show called The View, and they discuss hot topics about what's happening in America, and it's always interesting what they And one of the conversations they had yesterday was some writer was writing about Taylor Swift because she has over 250 million people that follow her on Instagram. And putting this onus on her, saying, Taylor Swift should be more, careful on, what she says and how she promotes stuff. And, she should, because she has such impact, she should be more politically correct. And I was going, what a load of bullshit. Like, you can't tell someone at that level and someone who draws crowds to that degree, you can't dictate to them what they should and shouldn't say.
That's wonderful to hear, because some of the stuff that you've actually just mentioned I'm actually going to cover in the show today, relative to what she says or doesn't say and how, etc. So that's an interesting point. But yes, you can't be dictating as some kind of older generational spokesperson on a TV program, thinking that you can dictate to what others are saying. No. But Kevin, yeah, as expected, there are thousands of articles on the web, and even more on social media posts and commentary relating to Taylor Swift. But in amongst the reams of content, there were two key articles that stood out for me. But definitely one of those is the one I want to pick up on our conversation today. But before doing so, again, I just want to provide a bit of a brief overview on Taylor Swift, upbringing, her background, and these are the few points that I came across from the various sources that I read. So Taylor Allison Swift is an American singer-songwriter that was born on December the 13th, 1989 in West Reading, Pennsylvania. How's this for you? Taylor Swift started taking vocal and acting lessons in New York as young as 9 years old, Kevin. She started professional songwriting at age 14, then going on to release a number of award-winning albums across, again, another interesting point, across various music genres, ranging from country to synth pop, indie folk to alternate rock. And she's also released an autobiographical documentary in 2020. This very much been influenced by political disillusionment. And I think that sort of plays into what you were chatting about earlier on with that chap on the TV program saying she must be careful about what she says.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift has sold over 200 million records, making her one of the best-selling musicians, and she's the most streamed woman on Spotify, Kevin. And there's a really great link on the one article that has sort of created a best of Taylor Swift. I'll send you the link. It's really interesting to listen to because it covers that full spectrum of the genres that she writes for, and there's some phenomenal songs in there. Some of Taylor Swift's accolades include winning 12 Grammy Awards, 3 Albums of the Year, a Primetime Emmy Award, 40 American Music Awards, 29 Billboard Music Awards, and take note here, 92 Guinness World Records.
Holy cow.
Yeah. She's also been honored with the title of Artist of the Decade and Woman of the Decade in 2019 as the top-selling digital artist in music history. And in closing on the intro to Taylor Swift, she's an avid advocate for artist rights and women empowerment, and she became part of the Me Too movement in 2017, Kevin.
Craig, you know why this is so substantial and why it is a conversation to be had is because she is as young as she is. She's also in she's as one of the top selling artists of the world. She's placed next to some of the best vocalists in the world.
Yeah.
Because some of the, like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Kelly Clarkson, although she doesn't feature as one of those best vocalists, because they are also some of the best top-selling artists of all time. But when you look at what she's doing and her capability as a songwriter and the impact that she has to an audience, a lot of these big names with big vocals haven't reached the status.
Correct.
And you kind of go,
Correct.
You have to pay attention to that. You can't ignore it. You can't say, oh, well, Taylor Swift, a little Tay-Tay. Like it's a machine. It's a very, very important business that she runs.
And that success from a singing career point of view has all happened in less than 20 years.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Where other people may take 30 to 40 years of getting to that kind of legacy, 20 years, she's sort of a living legend at that age because no one's been able to do what she can do.
It's phenomenal.
So, I mean, Craig, with those impressive achievements in place, like what can marketers learn from the brand that is Taylor Swift?
Okay, Kevin. So looking at the 2 articles I mentioned, there's particularly one that I wanted to cover. And both the articles were looking at marketing lessons and marketing strategies. But the one that we're going to cover today is titled 13 Customer First Marketing Strategies to Steal from Taylor Swift. And the article was written by Hannah McInnell and was published on the blog section of Vandelli.com. And again, just to set some context, Vandelli Digital Group are industry-leading experts in digital marketing, web design, SEO, and their key objective is to act as strategic growth partners to their clients. And the article covers 13 customer-first strategies with 2 things in mind, Kevin. Firstly, providing context to a specific marketing area as adopted by Taylor Swift and her marketing machine. And secondly, with a key takeout strategy for marketers to learn from, and just some really nice, simple snippets here. But the article opens with the following statement. If you need proof that a customer-first approach works, look no further than Taylor Swift. Behind all the awards, #1 albums, sold-out tours, there's a rock-solid marketing strategy. She may not have a business degree displayed amongst all her trophies, but she's good enough but she's got good ideas and power moves to prove her marketing prowess. Yeah, are 13 marketing strategies good enough to steal? Just in case you find yourself asking, what would Taylor do while crafting your next campaign? So let's take a look at each of these lessons in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
You're obviously going to quote directly for some of them because they really are quite succinct, and it's been difficult for me to reformulate and put it in my own words. But the first marketing strategy is about telling a story, and we often reference the concept of storytelling for brands on the show. So Taylor Swift has mastered this art of storytelling, with the narratives literally being woven into her product, which obviously is the songs, which means that every time you buy a song, you're buying into her story, Kevin. And her stories serve as universal language for fans and occasional listeners alike. Probably the reason why we find ourselves asking, did Taylor Swift read my diary while listening? So really getting deep into the minds and real life experiences of her fans. So the strategy insight for this point is, as a marketer, it's your job to tie your product into your brand story because people love content that they can identify with. Use your buyer personas as the protagonists, the lead characters, or the champions of a cause, and their pain points as the plot. This will help customers to envision, place themselves as your customers as you solve a problem or eliminate some of the pain points they have, Kevin. Moving to marketing strategy number 2, embrace your reputation. So Taylor is nothing if not unapologetic herself. By remaining transparent throughout all of her missteps and mistakes, she's built this intimate, trusting relationship with her customers, her fans, her followers, that every marketer actually strives for. And the strategy insight here is, in the real world, we all know that stuff happens. So instead of avoiding the situation at hand and jeopardizing your customers' trust, address the issues head on with a genuine apology, and you'll find your authenticity refreshing. And authenticity really is the key concept in this regard, Kevin. The marketing strategy 3 is...
Craig, sorry to
Yes.
interject there. I just want to share a story with, you can actually Google this, you can YouTube it, with Taylor Swift's interviews. There's one interview where she's at an award ceremony, and a female presenter at the sort of interviewing the stars, says to her, so, how many men are you going to be going home with tonight? And Taylor Swift gets this terrible look on her face and looks at this woman going, I'm going home with absolutely no men. Why would I be going home with men? She's like, I'm here to have fun and I'm here to enjoy myself. I don't need a man to do that. And the presenter, just she stood there, she didn't know what to do. She was completely bamboozled by her response. And, it just shows that, the narrative of what people think that woman should be doing or behaving a certain kind of way, especially if you're a woman of power or a woman of a certain look and style. And it's such a Taylor Swift kind of approach. There's more that you can actually check, but there's another one where she goes, you should forgive, and sometimes you shouldn't forget.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't need to forget it. I want to remember that you were a horrible person, and I don't want to forget that. So she's very, very outspoken about how she is and who she is.
She's got some phenomenal quotes as well. And I actually just noted a few here, which I'll jump into now. So one of them is, I never want to change so much that people can't recognize me. And for me, that plugs into her authenticity, particular proposition here. And this one really is great. Words can break someone into a million pieces, but they can also put them back together.
It's true, eh?
Absolutely. So marketing strategy 3 is speak your audience's language, Kevin. So Taylor Swift's definitely been able to segment and understand the buyer persona beyond comprehension, knowing what they struggle with and what excites them as listeners and followers. And as her career has evolved, both her and her fans have matured. yet she stayed relevant, take note of this, by speaking to their pain points, from the likes of broken hearts to football players to music industry politics and most recently to gender inequality. And the strategy insight here is for brands: eliminate the buzzwords or jargon from your copy and your tone of voice. Such words and tone will not only raise eyebrows among stakeholders, but will alienate your audience. And the key tip from the article is for you as a brand to join Facebook groups that are relevant to your customers or listeners or followers, and pay close attention to the topics that they actually care most about and how they communicate in that regard. Really, really good point there.
But I mean, Greg, sorry, I'd like at that level, I'm surely Taylor's not. I mean, surely she has someone sitting listening, like someone's doing that on behalf of her. She
Yeah,
must have a wonderful marketing.
that's why I call it the marketing machine. She's definitely got a phenomenal team around her, but she definitely leans in and participates in person to understand those nuances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what makes it work so well. That they know that she appeals to a certain audience, and that she needs to be relevant in how she translates or relays information to that audience.
And authenticity is the key driver in that regard again. Okay.
Yeah.
So marketing strategy 4 is reward loyalty with exclusive experiences. And to quote, the closest most people will get to their favorite musician is the cheap seats of a concert. That is, unless you're a Swiftie, which according to Urban Dictionary is a hardcore, almost obsessive fan of Taylor Swift. And there's a wonderful underground tradition of secret sessions that she actually has, which is listening parties held in Taylor Swift's home for her super fans to actually get a taste of her newest albums ahead of release. And again, it's about her being able to understand who the key followers are, what motivates them, and how she can connect with them in person, Kevin. Exclusive experiences are highly effective ways of generating buzz around product releases, converting customers into brand advocates, and making customers feel valued, which incentivizes action. And the simple steal the strategy insight here is: launch or level up your customer loyalty program and set an automated email for customer milestones, simple things like birthdays, or go a step further by offering free upgrades. And just keep that connectivity and traction going with customers, Kevin.
Yeah.
Marketing strategy 5 is keep your brand voice consistent. From song lyrics to website copy to Instagram captions, Taylor Swift's brand voice is distinctive and unequivocally her. Her brand voice and personality allows her to stand out from the rest by letting fans feel like they're actually connecting directly with her. And the steal the strategy insight here is it relates primarily to B2B companies in this particular instance, which are generally considered as coming across as boring, stuffy, and overtly corporate, but allow customers to relate to you by establishing a style guide around the impressions you wish to create, and then start making a list of what your brand is or brand isn't. Simple as that. Marketing strategy 6 is leverage exclusivity. So one of the biggest celebrities, as one of the biggest celebrities on the planet, Taylor Swift is really protective of her personal life, and the probability of catching her in public is low, and interviews are actually apparently few and far between. Her elusiveness also adds anticipation to her album releases, which she leverages by including exclusive posters, bonus tracks, and even diary entries with album purchases. And the steal strategy insights here are: conventional scarcity tactics tend to exploit negative feelings like fear. Present exclusive offers to email subscribers like using "We saved you a spot." Be sure to communicate the value of your offering, something we actually spoke about last week, and the benefits of buying now as opposed to later, Kevin.
Yeah.
Marketing strategy 7 is make it personal. So since the beginning of her career, Taylor Swift has gone the extra mile to actually recognize each of her supporters and the role that they've played in her success. So while promoting lead single for one of her albums, a selected group of fans unexpectedly received personal videos from Taylor Swift herself. The recipients were quick to share the excitement on social media, and the power of social proof just rippled and took over from there. And the single-minded steal the strategy insight here is the more we rely on digital communications, the more essential personalized messaging becomes. Really important point there. Marketing strategy 8 is meet customers where they are. So Taylor Swift knows that the best markets adapt to their audience, not vice versa. And she even coined the term Taylor lurking, which is much more enduring way of letting fans know that she's actually keeping tabs on them and following them on their social media activity. And a point that stands out here for me, Kevin, is that Taylor Swift is actually able to assume the existing user behaviors of her followers on their social media platforms, making her presence unique. And rather than mass distribution of the same message across platforms, Taylor Swift actually listens and learns how users are interacting and shifting from one context to the other. For instance, understanding that Instagram is for the edited selfies and behind the scene candids, whereas Tumblr is for much more long form posts and conversation. And the strategy insights here is that step one, identify where your buyer persona spend most of the time. And step two, study how your ideal customer actually interacts online and tailor the message. For example, LinkedIn in a business context, professional updates and thought leadership, while video dominating for Facebook. Marketing strategy 9. Yes.
So sorry, I'm like, as I'm listening to this, meet customers where they are, make it personal and leverage exclusivity. One of what's happening in my head right now is kind of going, I hear that and I see that, but from a brand's perspective, from a smaller brand, if you don't have the machine, does that require, what does that require? Do you need to get a brand strategist like you on board? Can you do the research, or what do you do? How do you take these and practically implement them?
So Kevin, a good question. So firstly, irrespective of the size of the brand, the power of social media really is the first way to engage and start communication streams with your audience. So use the platforms and channels that are most appropriate to your business type. And you're very much professional services oriented. So the likes of LinkedIn would play a huge role. The likes of TikTok, most definitely based on the nature of the content that you create. Perfect outlet for that. Instagram, yes, but it's more conversational type platforms that would work for you, and therefore the real-time TikTok dynamic aspect is important. Facebook, well, no, I wouldn't be investing money in the Facebook world at all in your context, but definitely the likes of the TikToks where it's real-time dynamic delivery of content, the ability to do hyper-targeted message and content delivery into a professional services environment like LinkedIn, and then obviously your website, and being able to package courses and content that people can access through online marketplaces, whether such HR aggregators exist where people can plug in and pay for courses, but definitely using the digital access points and an e-com platform that can be accessed directly from your own website, Kevin. And the likes of these streaming platforms, Spotify, which you're making really good use of already. Yeah. And then on the back of that, start building your database and get to understand the filters of why those folk are there, what content are they looking for, are there particular subjects, are there any other subject experts that you can partner with, and actually start tailoring more sort of gluey, structured linkages to those various audience segments. It takes a lot of effort when you're a small man business, as opposed to a powerful marketing machine behind you. But at the same time, if you've got some budgets, there are some really great digital agencies can help you with lead generation and the likes.
Yeah.
So moving on to strategy 9, which is establish core values and stick to them. So while Taylor Swift may be recognized as a vocalist of generation, she uses her voice in more ways than one. And standing by her values has definitely allowed her to reinforce her brand, even through her career's most controversial moments. And she's definitely had a few of those, Kevin. Probably one of the most important moments actually occurred in the current day music history when Apple Music rolled out a free trial period with actually no plans to compensate musicians in 2015. Taylor Swift wrote an open letter expressing her disappointment in the tech giant's failure to support up-and-coming musicians and promoting Apple to change their stance almost immediately. This letter is actually testament to her dedication to improving the music industry, and eventually this led to a really great long-term partnership between both parties. And the strategy insight here is implement a short little brainstorming session with a group of key advisors to you. Create a list of core values with your team. Then imagine that you have $4,000 to spend, each of the values costing $1,000, and decide where to allocate your imaginary budget, which then allows you to just get rid of the peripheral speaker noise, and then use these values to inform critical decisions and reward your employees that embody them, and your brand will definitely be stronger for that. And the real piece here is being able to take all of those things that you talk about in your head and just filter them, Kevin, and getting to finite, crystal clear, critical points that actually work to the core values of what you're trying to achieve, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, for a brand to be able to take on Apple, I mean, like that speaks volumes. It speaks for itself.
And that's just it, you know. She has a set of values and doesn't waver from that, and it's tough to fight the big guys out there, but she doesn't deviate from it, and that's really important. And she's filtered and synthesized to the core of what she stands for, and she's resolute in delivering against that.
But I mean, that's it. Yes, it was a beautiful example of why values, why understanding what your values are, why when something comes up like this, it's not Taylor Swift kind of going, oh well, let me be obstropolous and in people's faces. This is something I believe, and because I believe it, it's part of my value system, and I need to say something because it's important, right? But it's a clearly defined value that she really stands by.
Absolutely, and it has 100% relevance in that particular context, and this, it's a great segue, and thanks for mentioning it, because it is a great segue into marketing strategy 10, which is restraint is the key to relevance. So she doesn't just run out there and have all of these conversations. Yeah. So although it seems that Taylor Swift is everywhere, she actually knows exactly when to step back, Kevin. And maintaining a relatively quiet personal life has allowed her product, her voice, and her music to speak for itself without being overshadowed by trivial news stories and gossip. And the strategy insights here are: today's buyers are already battling information overload and content fatigue. Don't contribute to the clutter with irrelevant messaging. Segment your customer lifecycle to stages to ensure the right information is getting to the right audience at the right time. Yeah. Marketing strategy 11, give old content new life. So great content never goes out of style, and Taylor Swift uses live performances to reimagine her hits with combinations of new musical arrangements. And the strategy insights are this: identify your best performing material based on traffic and social media shares, and brainstorm new ways to share your evergreen content. And as I said to you, when you asked the question, one of those things is just really get you understand your audience and the needs through these social media touch points you have. And simple things like, you could combine your best blogs into an ebook, or share your expertise in a podcast like we're doing, turn a blog post into social media friendly infographic, or answer comments and customers' emails in your newsletter.
Write a book, Craig. The book's going to be out, but it should be out in June. So
bring it on. Looking forward to that. marketing
You're in the
strategy.
book, by the way, just so you know, you're in the book.
Fantastic. Thank you. Marketing strategy 12 is always be evolving. So you'll never get the same Taylor Swift twice. Her ability to continuously reinvent herself has allowed her to grow up with her fans while reaching new audiences with each new album era. So while other artists write out their success, Taylor Swift leaves each chapter on a high and plots a strategy to, quote, come back stronger than a 90s trend. And I really do like that. The skill, the strategy insight here is lean into changing buyer behaviors to fuel innovative solutions, always looking for new ways to eliminate friction and empower buyers to self-educate, such as these 2 points. Outline key milestones on the way to your customers' end goals so you can actually anticipate their needs and offer proactive support and clear pricing models. And the second there is swapping the standard contact us, call out button to actually a live chat button, and just brings a different level of engagement and stickiness with the audience as well.
Yeah.
And Kevin, finally, marketing strategy 13 is harness the power of surprise and delight. Taylor Swift does not run out of ways to keep her fans on their toes. She goes way above and beyond to stay connected to her community, from crashing weddings to delivering hand-picked Christmas gifts to dropping 2 surprise albums within 4 months of each other. And the final steal the strategy insights here are develop a list of creative ways to create positive experiences around your brand. And simple examples: send a relevant gift card or merchandise to customers and or fans, mail handwritten thank yous, and make a charitable donation in your customer or follower's name, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean that's it's that personable kind of approach, and it just makes it, if you're getting something like that, and it's not something that you would get from anyone, and you
Yeah,
kind of know that it's a handwritten note, and it's just brilliant. So I mean, Craig,
absolutely.
with that was pretty comprehensive with a set of customer first strategies. As we end the show, what are the key takeaways from today? Because I think they're pretty brilliant.
So, Kevin, thanks. From a takeaway point of view, just some really simple references to the bold actions that Taylor Swift has delivered in the recent years. And what's interesting, it clearly demonstrates what Gen Z and millennials, being her largest audience segments, actually expect of the brands they buy into and support. So while there may only be a few points that I'm going to share, one, I cannot overstate the importance of demonstrating from the front what you stand for as a brand, what your values are, and how you connect with and deliver to meet consumers' needs, Kevin. And applying some of these points will definitely help brands align more authentically with their consumers and followers. So, starting with the article we've just covered, vis-a-vis 13 customer-first marketing strategies to steal from Taylor Swift, we learned the following 3 key points. Get to know your customers by developing buyer personas, engaging with their social media, and joining or creating a community. Interact with your audience through emails, personalized videos, phone calls. Invest in your relationships. This will give customers a real reason to invest in you, and stick to your company values. These will keep your customers and employees on your side for the long haul. The really important to note, Kevin, is that the marketing strategies would have absolutely no effect or impact without Taylor Swift's continuous commitment to improving her music, as all the marketing genius in the world cannot make up for a bad product. So the key takeaway here is, to quote again, a high quality product combined with a customer focused end-to-end experience is marketing gold. Now, according to brandstrategyinsider.com, the strongest brands often connect with their customers on a values level. So whilst brands can promise functional, emotional, experiential, or even self-expressive benefits, those whose values are aligned with their customers' values are much more likely to achieve a much deeper and longer lasting loyalty. In other words, Kevin, brands must walk the talk and most definitely demonstrate action in line with the statements and claims they've made. They must, however, do this in a transparent, authentic, and values-oriented way. And on the point of loyalty, customers are generally much more loyal to a brand that speaks to social issues. And this is where Taylor Swift aligns very, very closely with the audience, having done the following key points. She's spoken out against bullying and is a key advocate for LGBTQ plus rights, making an important role model for young people. Ultimately, Taylor Swift has had a positive impact on younger generations, showing kids that it's okay to be different and that they have the power to make a difference in their own lives. A reference here is allthingschildren.com. Definitely worth a look at that. Taylor Swift also continues to fight for equality among humans, openly addressing the struggles of being a woman in the music industry and explaining the unfair double standards of men to women and how, as a woman, she's not taken as seriously as she would be if she were a man in the industry. Taylor Swift's also been open and honest about her past depressions, her self-esteem issues, and her insecurities, including to references of danger to societal beauty standards. Taylor Swift always pushes past what people say about her and then uses them bringing her down to actually build herself up again. And this really resonated with one of her youngest diehard fans that wrote the following quote: "It's super cool to see someone who just doesn't let anything get to them." These actions have inspired many of her listeners and followers to take a stand on issues impacting their respective lives, knowing that they have support of others in similar situations or have the same belief sets, values, and expectations of brands and people in general. And then, Kevin, one of the last points to share is that Taylor Swift understands that a huge segment of her listeners and followers are defined as Gen Z and millennials, and that they are digital natives. And she, in turn, her and her team, know that they need to respond to cultural moments in a powerful, authentic manner as they happen. And this is vitally important for any brand targeting these specific audiences, Kevin. And the key point here for brands is to remember to create content that aligns with their values and enhances the engagement with the brand. And then in closing from my side, I want to quote Taylor Swift's motto, which reads as the follow: "No matter what happens in life, be good to people. Being good to people is a wonderful legacy to leave behind." And it's definitely not something that we should, it definitely is something that we should all be applying in our daily lives, Kevin. And those are the key takeaways from me today.
That was very enjoyable. I must say, it's when somebody, it's not like she has a magic wand. It's not like she had this magic wand that sort of went and said, "Oh, well, magic. I'm going to have 250 million people like follow me on Instagram." There's something that's profoundly interesting and should be paid attention to, other than her music, because there's lots of people that sing wonderful music and that write amazing music, but they don't have this kind of connection to an audience.
Yeah.
So when you pay attention to it, you kind of go, what is that? What is that about? Because clearly it's not just a song that's resonating. There's something more to it. There's a deeper understanding about it. And I think whoever's behind, obviously it's Taylor Swift is not a stupid, woman, else she wouldn't be where she is.
Yes.
But she's obviously been very integral and kind of specific on how she wants to be put out there, and who's at the helm of that, and helps her steer the ship, because I think it comes with a hell of a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it does.
But I think she kicks ass. I think she does it really well. So hats off to her. Craig, thank you so much. I was going to quote, but you already said a beautiful quote. Thank you for that. And guys, you can catch us live on ebizradio.com every Thursday at 12 o'clock. Craig, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will chat to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Have a good one too.